Hello, everyone. Welcome to the EmpowHERed Podcast by UMortgage. We are so happy to be here with you today. Joining us is one of my favorite people. I consider her a dear friend, somebody that I have looked up to in the industry for many, many years. She is a huge advocate for women all over the country, and not just women. She is a huge advocate for the industry in general, has had a fascinating career, a really fascinating life. So I'm really excited to have her here. And this is also the very first guest that we've had join us from outside the organization. So we couldn't have picked a better person. Laura Brandao, welcome to the EmpowHERed Podcast.
Kahren, thank you so much for the invite. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here today, and I'm so excited.
Well, we're excited too, honestly. And I'm so grateful for all of your contributions and everything that you've done to support women in their growth and their journey across the country, not just in the mortgage industry, but you really have had an incredible career of women thriving in what's been a historically male-dominated industry. And I am so fascinated in your start to the industry, what it may have looked like, how it has changed. I know that's a big question, but you've just done so much, and I'd love to take us back a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, the journey started, I was very, very young, right? I mean, I accidentally, just like so many of us, accidentally fell into the mortgage career as a young mom.
Yeah.
And I needed something in the evening. And that was how I got in from a call center, working in the evening. And I immediately fell in love with the mortgage industry. I mean, I can remember speaking to borrowers on the phone and going, wait a minute, what is this owning a home and having a mortgage? Because I grew up, my parents couldn't get a home. Back then, I remember, I actually can remember this as a child, and this is a whole nother conversation.
Oh, I love it.
It ties into women. It ties into women. So I can remember as a young child, my father was a veteran. And so I remember my parents always saying, well, Dad's a veteran, so he can get a VA loan. And of course, I'm a little kid. I don't know what any of this means. And every time they would go to try to get a house, they couldn't qualify because they wouldn't allow my mother's income. They literally would not use my mother's income, whether it was because it was part-time. And at that time, they were like, well, even though it was consistent, they wouldn't allow it because she was a woman and she had children. And now thinking about that, right? That almost sounds prehistoric. Like it was like the 1920s, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
It was not. It was in the 70s.
Yeah.
It wasn't the 20s, right? So I can remember that my parents would be so disappointed because they wanted to own a home and they couldn't. And so here I was, this young mom, right, trying to earn income at night because I was home with a baby during the day and thinking, well, why can't I own a home? Why can't I get a mortgage? And immediately when I came into the industry, I kind of looked at it as, well, if someone else can do it, I could do it. Yeah. And from a woman perspective, I immediately looked at our industry as limitless.
Yeah.
No one can hold me back of how much I can make. No one can hold me back of what position I can hold. No one can tell me I can't get the house with the picket fence, with the on this street or whatever, because you know what? As long as I'm willing to put in the work, as long as I'm willing to educate myself, as long as I'm willing to do it, no one can stop me. And that's what the mortgage industry provided to me as a young woman. Right? Like,
but
that's what it did.
Was that inside of you? Like, where did that come from? Is that just Laura Brandao, or where did that, and I totally agree with you, and our stories are so similar. I'm fascinated, but where did that drive and the ambition and that just relentless pursuit of achieving your goals for your family and your children and yourself, where did that come from?
Well, it's interesting. So my mom, okay, very, very strong woman, okay? Yes. There's 3 girls and 1 boy in the family. We were brought up that my mother would tell all the girls, number 1, girls, you don't rely on anyone.
Yeah.
And this isn't about, luckily, all three of us married wonderful men and we have long-standing marriages, but that didn't matter because life happens. It's not necessarily about just having the right partner, right? Life happens. And my mother told all of us as girls and boy, no one can hold you back. No one can hold you back. And you have to be able to take care of your family and be able to do things on your own, regardless of who you marry, regardless of your partners, regardless of anything. You have to be able to take care of that family. So she instilled that in us, to the fact that I literally, no joke, Kahren. I mean, I go through life going, if they can do it, I can do it. So going back to your question, your initial question was, what did the mortgage industry look like?
Yeah.
The mortgage industry looked like all the men ran the companies. And all the women ran operations. That's what it looked like. Now, it wasn't that I didn't see women. I saw plenty of women.
Sure.
But those women ran operations. And I came in through the sales side. So when I came through the sales side, I was like, well, okay, I'm on the man side. I'm on the male side of the business. But I was so successful at building sales organizations that the men were like, heck, if she can bring sales in, we don't care what area she's in, right?
Absolutely.
We didn't care. But I learned very early on that although I wasn't invited to the golf outings, although I wasn't invited to the lunches, although I wasn't invited to the after parties, I wasn't invited to conferences, I wasn't invited to any of those things. I thought to myself, well, you know what? That's okay, because I have the opportunity to work even harder, to be able to accomplish even more, because I had no distraction. So at that point in my career, it actually worked for me. It actually was the best thing that could have happened. Even though maybe looking back now, maybe I'm like, well, heck, I kind of got pushed, to the side. But yet, maybe that was the path I had to be on in order to get my strength and my expertise to be able to go to that next step. So I don't look at anything as a negative.
No, and what a great mindset that you had to, instead of feeling like you were being excluded and having a pity party for yourself and going, oh, nobody includes me and nobody invites me. You're like, hey, that just gives me more opportunity and time to go out and sell and build relationships and make stuff happen. And you guys have fun on the golf course, but I'm going to go make some sales calls.
That's exactly right. But Kahren, what a great discussion of what we just said. Every single thing that happens, we have two ways to looking at it.
Absolutely.
Now, I've chosen my entire life, personal, business, it doesn't matter. I choose to always look at the bright side.
Me too.
Regardless of what happens. Now, sometimes those are tough difficulties to look at the bright side. But what is my option? To sit there going, well, why are they not inviting me? And what's happening that I'm not included?
What's wrong with me? And what am I missing out on? And I think it's so interesting because you bring up a great point. Some of the most disappointing, challenging, heartbreaking things that I've ever personally gone through, I can look back at those moments with context, knowing that I am stronger, I am braver, I have learned lessons. And guess what? I lived through it. And here I am thriving, probably as a result of overcoming whatever challenge that was. It's given me perspective. It's given me the confidence to know that if I can make it through that, I can sure make it through this. And I think those moments are so pivotal in your growth to say, guess what? This has made me who I am, and I am tougher and better and more successful for it.
100%. I value every single one of those things. And it's also interesting now that I've been in the industry so long. Your perspective of how you look at things 100% changes as you go through different experiences. So something that maybe would have been a big deal to me is no longer a big deal. Like now I kind of look at it and I say, you know what? I understand that other perspective, and
Yeah.
it's okay. And I really wish that grace upon everyone,
Yeah.
male, female, whatever.
Sure.
Everyone should have that grace in their life to realize that it's not usually deliberate. It's not
Absolutely.
usually intentional. It's not usually targeted specifically to you. Sometimes it is. I'm not saying it's never. But for the most part,
Yeah.
most people are just not even aware of what is going on.
Well, and it's so funny because you can spend so much time worrying about what does this person think about that, and what did I do here, and what people aren't thinking about you, they're thinking about them. And we lose so much time and energy over worrying about that. And I think that's what I feel like I'm getting to that point a little more and more. And maybe that comes with, age and experience, but it's so true to just don't sweat the small stuff. People do not think about you nearly as much as you think that they do. And we're all just doing our best every day. Hopefully I am, doing my best every single day. And the mistakes that I've made along the way are growth opportunities and opportunities to get better. And I need those because I want to grow every day. And you have to go through hard times and make mistakes and take chances and take risks and screw up and put yourself out there to then come out the other side better for it and evolving.
So I want to bring up something I recently read. Okay.
I
actually have to look in my little notebook because I never heard of this before. Okay. So it's called region beta paradox. I had never heard of this ever before.
Region beta paradox.
You got it. Okay. So let me tell you what this is, because I never heard of this and I was like, it's fascinating and so accurate. What it is that people, okay, when you're going through difficulty, if something, let's just take let's take something that's like gnawing at you, some challenge or something that's a little annoying, and it's not totally gotten you upset. It's just kind of scratching it, right? It's a nuisance, okay?
Yeah.
Most people will just ignore the nuisance. So maybe there's a difficulty happening, but it's not a big difficulty. It's just that nuisance where you can kind of get through it.
Sure. Okay.
What they've proven, what this means is that the people that have something major happen to them, something where they had to make a big decision, they had to pivot, they had to go in another direction, those people recover faster. And those people go farther because the gnawing thing, people just live with it and they settle and they stay in that comfort zone because it's not so annoying that they actually have to make a change.
Yes.
So I really want people to think about that, because when I read that, I said, oh my goodness, we as humans sometimes will stay in mild discomfort because it's not hitting us that hard to where it's like, that's it. I can't do it anymore. So
it's like the frog in the pot of water, you're in cold water on the stove and the pot's heating up and it's all of a sudden you're boiled. Whereas if you stuck your hand in a boiling pot of water, you'd know immediately. But it's true. It's so true.
So interesting point that as we're navigating and as we're adapting and as we're changing through just life that's happening with us, two things. Number one, don't sweat the small stuff and allow certain things that won't matter, but also pay attention to the drip, drip, drip. Because sometimes the drip, drip, drip is a sign that you have to look, is that drip going to turn into a flood? Or is that drip going to stop and it all goes away? These are the careful things to pay attention to.
Well, and it takes so much self-awareness and constantly looking in the mirror and analyzing those things to really know when they're happening, and then to have boundaries and things in place so that you're not settling for those things that then become major floods, because that's really problematic. I mean, I'm thinking of like people in relationships. It's like not having important conversations or not addressing things and just brushing things under the rug. And that could be in any any relationship, personal or professional, but really taking time to analyze, be honest, and have constant improvement so that you can fix little things as you move through a process versus trying to tackle a major problem because you've let it become a major problem.
And as women in business, sometimes that's one of the things that we don't do.
Yeah.
We don't address it as the drip, drip, drip is happening because we think that we can control the situation or we can fix it or we can change it.
Or it'll go away. Or
it'll go away.
It's not really happening.
That's right. So that is a cautionary tale of having that self-awareness. Now, there's another thing that I want to bring up because this is about women leadership and women in the mortgage industry. I recently read a book about feedback. So you mentioned about getting better, right?
Yes.
And improving. Fascinating study that I did not even think about. But now that I read it and the more I even think about my own feedback, it is proven in studies that women do not receive as much feedback as men.
Totally.
Whether it's women with women or male, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The reason why is that for the most part, in our unconscious bias, we hold back because we're afraid of how the woman is going to take it.
Yeah. Yes. Not wanting to hurt someone's feelings, not wanting to ruffle feathers, I mean, I have experienced that professionally and it's so tough, you know. I really want to encourage and I think almost men providing feedback to women and feeling afraid that it'll be misunderstood or, you know, won't be well received. You certainly need positive feedback and you need support and you need kind words, but you also need feedback of how can I do something better? How could I have done this differently? What do you see as the next evolution of me professionally? And instead of just giving somebody like an attaboy all the time and you're so amazing, like how can we improve and have real conversations about that without emotion, without getting our feelings hurt, and really take that and let it help us to grow and change and evolve?
Well, what happens is they say that women don't get put for bigger opportunities because the men have been conditioned from the day that they hit the business world. Give it to me straight. Give it to me straight. Tell me how I can get better. Now, if I didn't do a good job in that meeting, I want to hear what I could do better. And they're conditioned to take it and to give it. Women, on the other hand, it has been conditioned that, well, you got to watch your words. You have to be careful how you say it. You have to be mindful, but it's doing us a disservice and it's holding women back. So my advice to everyone listening to this right now, ladies, we need to stop this. We can't expect other people to change as a society. So how do we control that? Kahren, I want to hear your feedback. You know, if we're having a one-on-one, I want, please, it's important to me that if you truly care about me as someone working their way through the organization, partnering with you, being your team member, it's extremely important that you give me open and honest and constructive feedback because I am here to continue to get better at all times. We have to set the stage. We have to go to the people that we work with and we have to ask for that feedback because once we open that door, we set the stage. We're ready for it.
I so agree. And this conversation is so timely because I feel like in my own career, my own life, I'm at that point and I just need to be able to say, Anthony, what could I be doing differently? Give me feedback. Not just what we're doing great, but what we can do to improve. And then we have to take it. We have to take it and we have to not get our feelings hurt and we have to accept that feedback and the place that it comes from. Because I would be asking people that I trust and care about, and they're not going to say or do anything to hurt me. Their goal is to get me to improve. And that is so, so, so important. And that's a huge takeaway for anyone watching this, male or female. Let's start having these conversations with the people in our lives, professional and personal, and say, we're going to start holding each other accountable. We're going to start giving and receiving feedback. And we've got to start normalizing that it's not, we treat the women in our professional lives this way and the men this way. We have got to allow the women to elevate and take accountability, get that feedback so that we can continue to grow as leaders and continue to impact change in our organization.
But that's exactly my point, Kahren, right? And I love this conversation because it actually starts with us. We have to make that change. We can't expect society to make the change. It starts with us first. And please know, anyone that gives you feedback cares about you.
Yeah.
I promise you, if they don't care, they're not going to say a word.
Yep, absolutely.
Because they have no interest in investing in you. But when someone truly says, wow, this was great, but I'm going to tell you a way to go above and beyond that. I'm going to tell you how to take that next level. The person that does that for you, I mean, I will never forget when someone said to me, well, Laura, you should just be the president. And I remember the first time someone said that to me, I was like, I'm not qualified to be a president. What do you mean? Like, no, that's not something I would ever even try or think that I would be eligible for such a thing. And until that person made the comment, I honestly didn't even believe that was possible. Even though I have all these goals and dreams and all this else, I honestly never equated that would be connected to me. And now, of course, my brain is totally different. Now my brain is like, of course, like now I'm like, here I am, right? But until someone else planted in me that was possible, someone gave me feedback and said, Laura, I remember someone saying to me, Laura, you are great at these things, but you know what? You really should learn this part. You should really understand the back end of doing loans. You should really understand about the secondary market. You should really understand about MSRs and this part because you have all this experience in the front, but you don't understand the back. And I was like, how valuable. They invested in me.
They cared.
They cared. They were looking for me to grow. And for everyone listening to this, take that as the greatest gift we can give as humans is to take the time to invest in others. Because we are here for a blip of time that we get to inject a piece of ourselves into other people that will continue to grow and blossom and magnify. Kahren, what you're doing with this is an opportunity for others to hear these conversations, for them to say, I needed to hear that part right now. I needed to hear that. I don't care if you're day one in the mortgage industry or day 1001.
Absolutely.
Or everyone has the ability to invest in someone else.
Absolutely. And that's our job as next level leadership is to, we've reached this level of success for ourselves. We better be helping others around us reach those levels and letting that continue to grow and flourish, because it's not about you. It's about the service that you're providing to others so that they can grow. And guess what? I've learned just as much from people who are day one in this industry as I have for people who are retiring. I mean, there is always so much to learn from each person that we come into contact with. And I love the idea of getting comfortable with hearing that feedback and accepting it and knowing that it comes from a place of caring. If someone didn't care, it's much easier to say to someone, oh, that thing that you did was fantastic. Great job. Well, that was an easy conversation to have. A much more difficult conversation for the person delivering it is constructive criticism or feedback.
Exactly. So that's our takeaway, that we want everyone to think about. Your care and concern for someone else is actually in the feedback. Now, of course, providing it in an effective way is very important, right?
Sure.
We have to be
Framing,
mindful.
emotionally intelligent. Exactly.
Yes, we have to certainly frame things
Yes.
the proper way. We're not just saying to go around critiquing everyone and giving them random feedback all the time.
No.
But I think if we can, of course, feel comfortable receiving, it becomes even more comfortable providing.
Absolutely. Well, what is next for you? What's next for you with WMN? What's next for you? We've got Infuse coming up. We have got so many exciting things that we are doing together and that you're doing for our whole industry. But what's next for you?
So I want to actually speak about WMN. I'm glad you brought that up. So, I'm so happy that I'm able to be part of, structuring the summit and being part of that. And, Kahren, let's take that as an example, right? When we had the conversation of what does the summit look like this year? Okay. Now listen, we could have taken an easy road. I could have come up with a couple of panels. I could have put a speaker up there, and we would have been no problem done. I would have been done in like 30 minutes,
1 hour.
Finished. But no, no.
We got to break the mold.
I decided, and thank God, you're part of this along with a group of other wonderful women, that I said, you know what? If we don't continue to challenge ourselves and be able to provide value and be able to show women collectively together as part of WMN that we don't need to do what's been done and done and done. Yeah. We need to actually get to business. We need to mastermind. We need to learn from each other, and we need to challenge ourselves that this is not just sitting and being an active listener. This is participating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just absorb all this information and then leave and do absolutely nothing.
Exactly. So this year we are doing 4 tracks. And in those 4 tracks, the women that are attending get to decide which track that they want to go in and mastermind on. So they can take thinking like an entrepreneur. They can take being a broker owner, scaling your business, being a loan originator, scaling your business, or branding and marketing. So they can decide which track they want to participate in. And then we are putting together a digital playbook so that all the women will receive resources and documents and templates and reference guides all through a digital playbook that, because they weren't in all of them, they will receive information and training on all 4. And we're challenging ourselves. Now, believe me, there's been a day where I sat there going, am I out of my mind that I'm taking this on? Like, why am I doing this?
Put this together with this much content in this time frame. Hey, if anyone can do it, we can do it, my friend. We're already doing it.
We are. We're right on track. Yep. We're hitting all our milestones. But Kahren, go big or go home. Like, this is who we are as women professionals in the mortgage business. Yeah. We don't take the easy road. We wouldn't be in this industry if we wanted to take that easy path. We're here because we're making a difference in the industry. We're making a difference in our communities. We're making a difference in the families we serve. And we are going to do this together.
Absolutely. And you know what? If it doesn't challenge you, it does not change you. So this is harder, but it is going to change all of us, our careers, our families, our clients, our partners. Everyone, we're all going to leave with tactics to do that day. We're going to leave with an entire playbook along with a community and relationships that are strengthened by putting this together, by doing it together, all the women that are included and involved. And I am so excited. I'm really grateful, honestly, that you reached out and asked me to participate. This is something new that I have not done before. So again, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. So this is challenging me. And I said yes right away.
Yes,
and
you did.
I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing. And it's really forcing me to think about my process and say, how can I provide so much value that every person that attended my session goes away going, yes, I'm so glad I did that one. And the people that don't are like, man, I can't wait to read that part of the digital playbook and get all of those action items and those steps to really scale my business as a loan officer. So I can't wait.
And to be quite honest, we're not going to have the typical conversation.
Mm-mm.
I 100% believe, yes, having conversations about work-life harmony, it's important. Sure. Having conversations about overcoming challenges as a woman in the workplace, sure, good conversations. Great conversations that should happen. I'm not saying they shouldn't. They should. But you know what? We're also business women.
Yep.
We are business women doing business, making decisions, growing, scaling, getting better every single day. And this year, that's going to be our focus, because yes, we are women that are also figuring out all the rest of our life. But this year, it's about getting tactical. This year, it's about how collectively we come together to get better at running our businesses, being a great originator, all of those things. And that's what excites me. Yeah, because, it's time for us to step up and go, yeah, we belong here.
Yep.
We're validated. We've already deserved these seats at the table. We're no longer trying to get the seat at the table. Nope. We've earned the seat at the table. And now it's, how do we keep adding seats to the table?
Absolutely. I love it. Well, on that note, I am so grateful for our time today. I am excited to see you at AIMFuse. I'm excited for our summit. I can't wait for this podcast episode to come out in a couple of weeks. And thank you for everything that you do for all of us at UMortgage and all of us in the industry. You are, like I said, one of my favorite people. And I've gotten some major takeaways from this. I'm going to go get some feedback.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Keep shining brightly, my friend.
Thank you so much, Laura. I'll talk to you soon.